to discuss problems we do on an open forum. We thank you for again, for the blessings that we have as we enter a new season, as we move from fall to winter, that how lucky we are to live in Southern Illinois and see all 4 seasons every year. We pray as always that you'll watch over and care for our safety. Forgive us of our sins. In Christ's name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'll call the meeting to order.
Commissioner Hartline?
Here, ma'am.
Commissioner Toler?
Here.
Commissioner Foster? Commissioner Miller?
Here.
Commissioner Blue?
Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes. We have minutes from October the 12th, 2018. Everyone had a chance to look at those.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Commissioner Hartline?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Toler?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Okay, Kevin, building permits.
Got 2 this morning. First one's from Michael Beatty, 0510031338 for a mobile home, no subdivision, or floodplain issues, certain for approval. Next is for Keith Lettis, 0830062223A. It's for a garage, no subdivision issue, but it is in the floodplain. The variance is attached. This is allowed by our ordinances for a garage constructed out of flood resistance that you're going to be constructed in the floodplain. And this is the one check signed 3 times. Because of variance.
Make a motion to approve both minutes. Second.
Commissioner Hartline?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Toler?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Anything else?
I've got the engine backhoe distributor who should finish oiling next week. And we're still mowing, we'll mow the snows. That's what we're doing.
Under county finances, we don't have anything. Under old business, resolution to transfer to 2018 budget appropriations to be tabled again. Discussion on the budget for fiscal year 2019. We'll be meeting with Kevin sometime next week to go over his budget, and in the very near future, we'll be setting up other meetings with the board to discuss the budget. So we'll probably see some things happening next week on the budget. Under new business, we have approved payment of the bills report. Has everyone had a chance to look at those?
Yes.
Any questions?
Make a motion to pay the bills. Second.
Commissioner Hartline?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Toler?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Next on the agenda is approval of the tourism grant applications. The first one is the Union County Historical Society. They're requesting the amount of $300 for Christmas in the Village. This has went to the Union County Hotel Operators Occupancy Tax Board, and they have reviewed this and recommended that recommend the amount of $300 be paid for the amount of the hotel and motel tax money. Are there any questions?
It was pretty standard, same as last year for them. Everything was good.
I make a motion to approve $300.
I'll second.
Commissioner Harlan,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Stover,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Next is the request of Baldwin Cross. They also took this before the Union County Hotel Operators Occupancy Tax Board, and it requested the amount of $5,000. The amount recommended by the board was $4,500. With all those present voting yes, matched everything.
They, last year, they had asked for 4,000, and that's what we approved. Matter of fact, the last 2 years. This year, they did ask for 5. We struck a happy medium and gave them 4,500. They did submit the report as required to verify the results from the money, and it was quite impressive, very well done report. One of the biggest draws in the county as far as overnight stays and different events. I mean, this is all pretty well advertising, and but I forgot how many, I think it's in here, like weddings even, which is
Yeah.
most of the time overnight stays. But just a phenomenal amount of people that go there each year. So we, with their report, following through on last year's request, we didn't see any problem with it. We just cut it back by 100 from what they asked.
Make a motion to approve $4,500.
Second.
Commissioner Harlan,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Stover,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is the ICRMP insurance program renewal. I believe that renewal this year came in at around 17,000 less than it was the previous year. No, everything has been checked, verified, that everything we need is included, so. Is there any questions regarding the renewal?
No.
I make a motion to approve the renewal.
Second.
Commissioner Harlan,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Stover,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is addendum to intergovernmental agreement establishing authorizing the operation of the emergency telephone system board known as the Union Alexander Joint Emergency Telephone System Board. State's Attorney Tyler Edmonds has prepared an addendum to the agreement that we did a few weeks ago. Crystal, is he working with you on this?
Yes.
addendum? Okay.
You may kind of explain a little bit why we need to
Yes.
do the addendum. When IMRF received the original agreement that was prepared between the two counties, they wanted a separate entity, basically under the umbrella of the county, but because it's a joint ETSB, that there would have to be a separate tax ID number. Everything will still be administered by the county, benefits, liability insurance, but just states that in the event that there's a split between Union and Alexander, it states who's responsible for those liabilities, which will be split by population. We did have to do a 10-year agreement for IMRF, minimum 10 years. So I think the agreement states period of 10 years and then continue thereafter until terminated by either party.
Did I understand him right that switching to the 10 years, that both Alexander County and us would have to agree if we decided to dissolve it? One can't just do that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And then that would also need to be approved by Springfield and the state 911 director for that split to happen. And the reason why we did an addendum versus a completely new intergovernmental agreement, my application had already been filed with Springfield because it was due by September 30th. So if we done a new agreement, it would have stopped that process. Doing an addendum, they agreed to go ahead and follow through with their steps, and then I can just file this addendum with them once it's signed by both counties.
Any other questions?
No, I haven't. After we vote on this, not about this, but about the money. But no, I make a motion that we approve the amendment. Second.
Commissioner Harlan?
Yes, ma'am?
Commissioner Todd?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
The question that I have is, as far as when we do this and we join, then as far as meeting the requirements and the deadlines for payment, for you to get paid, how are we doing on that? I mean, because I know that we're under a crunch time to get that, and if not, then we need to work out a plan so that Crystal still gets paid. So I just have a question. I'm just wondering if we don't meet that time, what we're gonna do? And that's,
Do you know how long it takes to get a FEIN number?
I don't, and
yeah, that's what I'm talking about, getting the number.
911 from the beginning had their own separate tax ID number, and then in 2015, when Darren took over doing the process and put us all under the county's tax ID, we started using that. I don't know if.
Will you have to get it, will you have to get a new number under that, the new, and I guess here's what I'm asking, Crystal. They have to form the new board, and then the board requests that, right?
Mhm.
So what's the timelines on creating this board?
I'm sorry.
It's already been requested. hasn't it?
No, my understanding, we had to wait till the new board was formed.
That's my question.
Right.
That's my question, is the new board has to form and request it. How are we on, and who, this is all uncharted territory for me.
I don't know if it would be simpler, if our original tax ID number was out there still, could we do a simple name change? So then we're not starting the whole process over and just do a name change and then bundle us all under that original tax ID number.
That's what I'm asking. I don't know if that's feasible or if they'll let us do that. I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Because if not, if we have to wait for the new board to form and then request a number, and by that time, we're gonna roll around into a new fiscal year, and, I don't want you going for a month or two with no pay, wondering who's gonna pay what.
Right.
And right now, I don't know the answers. Be the new board, the new 911 board that would request all that, and
they don't take place till December 1st, pending our application being approved.
but pending December 1st, that's the date that we need to have your number in. So, I don't know. That's why I'm asking. I don't know what to do here.
I think Darren had told Angela that can't be requested until December 1st. I don't know why it couldn't be done ahead of time to be in place for December 1st. To me, that would make more sense.
Yeah, but
Maybe there's a reason for that. I don't know.
But that's my question, is who would request that? Because either Union County Board, or Alexander County Board can do that, because it has to be the 911 board.
Well, in this agreement, Angela would still be administering payroll and benefits, so my assumption would be Angela would be the one to make that request on behalf of the joint ETSB.
Can we do that without the board being formed?
I don't know that I would be requesting those numbers. I will I have reached out to an external auditor as well as Paychecks to find out what I have the authority to do as well as what Crystal could do on her own. And I haven't gotten the answers back yet.
Well, I just
Because
see.
I feel like this is something that needs to be done ahead of time.
Yeah, I know, and that's my quandary here, is it has to be done ahead of time, but who has the authority to do that if it has to be done by this new entity that we're creating? I mean,
I have the
It-
same
it-
concerns that you do, Danny. I actually reached out to Tyler yesterday to ask him, because I said, Tyler, the way the amendment is, Crystal's now an employee of the joint ETSB,
exactly.
not Union County. I said, so does that mean they're gonna have to get their own FEIN number? And he said, yes. And I said, well, how's that gonna work with our payroll? Because Paychecks, the company we use, files our quarterly returns and our yearly returns under the county's FEIN number. I doubt, and we've reached out to ask them, that they're gonna allow us to have two numbers in the same payroll. So I asked Tyler, I said, do you think we're gonna have to set up a separate payroll just to process Crystals? And he said, that would be my guess, is that you would have to set that up. And I said, but we can't set it up without this FEIN number. How fast can we do it?
I wonder if it's an agreement between the County Board of Union and the County Board of Alexander County, that on behalf, and this is, I don't know how legal this is, I would have to ask Tyler, on behalf of the 911 board that is yet to be formed, if we can request that as joint, and I know that sounds very vague, but if not, we're gonna run a 2-month period minimum trying to get your number. So I'm just trying to look ahead here, and I don't know all the legalities of that.
Well, I would think that, I mean, I know it would cause some backtracking and moving stuff around, but until that takes place, she's still gonna be Union County's now.
And I thought about that too, that we pay under Union County, then with them paying us back. And I get that, but then there's a period there that, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's a period that we could have two numbers on Crystal.
Well, we wouldn't have two numbers until it's issued.
Well, no, that's, I don't know, I see a mess here.
I think what Max is saying will probably make them, because if for some reason this isn't approved till January 1st, I am still the Union County 911.
And that makes sense.
And then I would have basically two W-2s. I would have one under the current one and then one under the new one.
Angela, is that feasible?
Yes.
Okay, but when that new board's formed, that needs to be up front that we've carried this employee. And it's not gonna be much, but you start everything out on the right foot.
Well, for clarification, we reimburse my salary now. The county doesn't pay for it.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
financial
Yeah.
part of it isn't.
Okay, yeah, I
So
stand
it would be
corrected on
no
that.
different.
I forgot about that. Yeah, so that's irregardless. Okay. It's just something that was on my mind
Yeah,
and because I could see that happening. And if we don't address it before it happens,
yeah, I don't want to work with no paycheck.
Oh.
So I appreciate that.
Be elected commissioner.
Yeah.
okay, that's all I had, Bobby. I just had a question about that.
Next on the agenda is executive session, and we do have one thing on collective negotiating matters we need to go on. I'm gonna go ahead and drop down to the agenda real quick. Are there any committee reports?
I talked to Dirk this morning, and he made a couple runs and brought back more food than we can put in the crates for right now. I'm telling you, Dirk does it, and then we need to set up a meeting to talk about our animal control. But I know you've got your plate full right now. But no, Dirk's bringing back a bunch of food.
Shawnee Development, I think, William, you were elected for 4 more years?
Yes.
Yes. You had a hard race.
Oh, Way to go, William.
A lot of competition.
Yeah. Is there any other business?
I would like to ask, because it's just something that's pending, is on the findings that we've had in our headway that we're having on the IMRF findings. Or where are we at on those? Because those were in it.
Yeah, you are working on it. In fact, I got an update a couple days ago, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that you were on the email, I try to update the board on every time that I give an update to IMRF. So currently, I'm waiting on Sickich, who was to help with 3 out of the 4 audit findings. And IMRF is helping on the section 125, going back to 2015, and helping look over the numbers on calculations for those reimbursements.
When did we reach out to Sickich to come back in and help us, or to send somebody? When did we reach out to them?
The last email was last week.
How about before that though? I mean, because we've been asking him for help.
Actually,
About
every week.
the middle of September, or towards the beginning to middle of September, we reached out to them, talked to them. She was going to send an engagement letter and thought that they could start the middle of October. But I think that they've gotten behind. I talked to her and asked her again, are you still going to be able to help us? Because we're at the middle of October and I haven't heard from you guys. And she said, yes, they were still going to help us. They were just trying to get a few other things wrapped up so that they could move on to this work. But again, I try to check in with her about every 2 days and try to check on the status, because it's
Now, when they
really
come down,
important.
are they going back to 2015, or is that up to us, or that's part of what they're gonna do?
One of the audit findings that they are going to assist with will go back 10 years.
Well, we're gonna have to come up with some numbers quick.
And they have all of the numbers.
This is gonna affect our budget big time,
Yes.
I'm thinking.
Is that what they said, 10 years? Is that? Okay.
yes, and you're going to have to know. We do definitely need to know amounts so that you know how much we're going to have to.
Thousands of dollars here that we're gonna have to pay.
Possibly, yes, because we're going to be amending W-2s going back possibly 10 years. Not possibly, we will be amending W-2s going back
We might
that
not
far.
see something where Jackson County just went through this and the IRS is fining them.
Yes, I mean, that's what I heard on the radio. I don't know all the information, but something about them having to amend W-2s from long ago and a possible, I think it was $20,000 or $30,000 fine. So,
Well, and plus what Angela found last week or the week before on an RMRF that's gonna cost us, that's gonna impact our budget huge.
yes.
Two things, I have a question on the IMRF. If you amend W-2s, does that mean all the employees are gonna have to then file an amended tax return? Right?
That is correct, because that happened with one of our employees, and they do have to.
So for 10 years,
That's why I'm concerned.
We don't know yet, that's, I mean, it's
I
gonna
don't-
affect the employees.
No, and that's exactly why I'm asking, because we need, this person needs to come in and help us to have some direction, because yeah, it's gonna impact a lot of people. And
See, I just don't know how far back the IRS requires, and I don't know
about
those
that.
rules.
But I do know that it happened to one of our employees, and it was on a paycheck that it was reported twice, and then she had to file an amended return, but I don't know how far back. I know it happened, it was within like a 2-year range, but I don't know then, and she did have to file an amended.
well, that's my concern. That's my concern. If the auditors are coming in and saying, okay, we have to go back 10 years, then if we have to amend stuff, I want somebody to tell us, okay, yeah, you need to do this, like you say, Tiffany, for 2 years, or if you have to go back 10 years, or the audit was in this time period, so this is what we're looking at, because it's gonna impact a lot of people and a lot of money, and we're, and I know we're reaching out for direction, but we're kind of floundering here because somebody's got to give us some direction. And I'm afraid it's going to impact a lot of people. We need answers.
So was this from the audit findings that
Yes.
you guys found all this?
Yes.
Yes, we were not aware of it.
No.
So how many employees, like, are you talking, like, will we be notified if it's
Oh, yeah.
involved?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what we're trying to find out is what, who, and how many it's going to affect. Absolutely.
Surprise.
There are numerous
it's like
employees
the
that will be
80,000
affected, but some are
No,
negative
that's
and some
a
are
different one.
positive.
Yeah, some of them
And so,
will be on the good side, but some of them will be on the bad side. I mean, some are a plus and some are a negative.
But that's not the 80,000 that you guys were talking about
That's-
before?
No, that is not an audit finding. That's something that our human resource found. No, this has nothing to do with the audit findings, the 80,000.
The 80,000 won't affect anyone, any employees. It's a build where they changed the SLUP, IMRF. And so I think back in 2007, maybe, they changed it. and
It came into
generated
effect
an invoice.
2005, changed 2007. And then we've been paying since then, but we're paying the minimum, and the minimum did not cover. So actually, I mean, and we owe more than we did then.
Angie, has somebody talked to you since the meeting?
No.
She did some research regarding that, and this is
Who's that?
Heidi, the sheriff's secretary. She did some research, and that's a statewide thing. It's not something that was done inappropriately here in Union County for IMRF. If you research it, like St. Clair County was millions of dollars that their bill was. So it's not necessarily something just inappropriately.
No, and I'm not talking,
It's a statewide
and
issue.
again, and I'm not talking blame here, I'm just talking as county, this board, that we found that we're gonna have to come up with $80,000, $90,000
We didn't know.
that we didn't know.
Yeah, I think St. Clair
And the thing about it, and if we don't,
just they paid interest and never touched it.
that, and that's exactly what we've done, and only we didn't even meet that.
We
So we're owing, and if we don't do something about it, that's just gonna grow. So, yeah, I mean, we're getting hit from several different angles here. You say Sinclair was millions of dollars? Well, that doesn't make me feel a whole lot better, but.
Well, I think it started out as $1 million, they paid $3 million, and it's all went to interest, and they've never touched the original $1 million yet.
Well,
What
we're,
ours is.
we're not that big, but that's exactly what we've been doing.
Yes, if you only pay the amount that they added to your rate, you will not ever pay this off, which sounds like maybe that's what St. Clair did too. You have to make bulk payments towards this balance to ever
You
start
got enough
reducing
principal
it.
down.
Yes.
Well, again, because the reason I bring that up is there's several issues in this, from audits, from things that are out of our control, like Sinclair that they found, that's gonna hit us right in the face from several different angles. And like Max said on this one that we're looking at, the one that I question, is for our employees, some are gonna benefit and some are not. And that is a tough blow. And we don't know. That's why we're trying to find out, because I don't know. And until somebody comes in and tells us what we need to do and they help us do it, we don't know if people are going to get hit financially or if they're going to benefit financially. And on top of that, then the board has the other to deal with, and it's just a lot of unknowns right now. And I, for one, don't like to be in a position of making decisions on things that I have no control of. That's why I want somebody, and it's not us, and I know it's out of our hands, but I want somebody to come in and say, okay, here's A, B, and C, so that we can create a plan to meet A, B, and C. Because right now, A, B, and C is not being met, and we don't know what to do. In case you can't tell, I'm a little frustrated about that.
explanation what the IMRF finding was? Is this regarding the additional IMRF that we did, or is this a
No.
separate?
Oh, no.
No, these are separate issues. There's several of them. That's why it's probably going to affect most people, most of our employees, because it is about, for instance, one is healthcare, whether it should be pre-tax or post-tax. We've done it both ways. So
Now, we did make a decision on that
once
one.
you made a decision, now you have to correct the ones that were done the opposite of the decision you made. Some
And
of
that was
them
gonna happen either way when we made that decision. We was gonna
Some
have
of
to
them
make
are-
corrections somehow.
are pension contributions, and that they cannot be included as your IMRF wages. So then we have to go back and reduce everyone's IMRF wages. Now that I don't think will affect your W-2s, but that will affect your IMRF
Yeah,
wages.
it would affect your IMRF.
Yes. And there were a couple other things, like voluntary contributions to IMRF, they have to be post-tax, they cannot be pre-tax. We were doing them as pre-tax, so we have to go back and correct W-2s. Any big other ones and then they also identified some people that had, I don't know how to say, mistakes that weren't didn't affect everybody, but individuals they identified in this report. Any other big categories that I'm missing besides for health insurance and pensions?
Those are big hitters.
Right.
Those affect most people.
Yeah, I do believe the audit is on the website though, so.
The
That's what
IMRF
you're-
audit is? Okay, I didn't know it had been posted. And then how will it affect retirees? Because I'm sure, like Jana,
No, that's
Who's
the
retired?
big question that I have. And again, I think some will benefit. And I don't know, I'm way out of line by even, guessing at this. But my knee-jerk reaction is some is gonna benefit, some is not. And that's a tough blow. I mean, I would not want that. So, but that's why, that's why we need some answers. Because right now, not knowing, if I was a retiree and not knowing, that would be worse than if they come up and say, hey, you're getting paid $25 too much. The not knowing, thinking, oh my gosh, how's this gonna affect me? So that's why I'm asking the question, and I'm really getting frustrated that we can't get answers so that we can correct it. We have had an auditor come in and we have addressed the issues. Or no, we've had the issues addressed to us. Now we have to have corrective action, but to have corrective action, we need some help, and we're not getting it. And in the meantime, we've got all these people that if they have been staying up on it are in limbo, and I don't know what to tell them. And I'm frustrated on that because it's just like having a kid. I'd rather have a kid and tell him no than to keep saying, I don't know. So that's
Well, and a couple
where
of
I'm-
things, like, I believe Angela has made the corrections going forward.
Yes.
It's the going backwards that we're still waiting to be able to correct.
Yeah, and I do want to state that, yeah, the corrective action that we have had going forward from this time, it will be correct. We just have to go back, and that's the hard part, is going back and fixing what we've got.
why
And
did
you
the
asked
county
about-
auditor not catch this when they audited?
They never had audited it before.
Well, not the IMRF side,
Regular
but
audit.
they would have audited payroll, correct?
Yes.
Audit payroll.
They
So
did.
they should have seen that.
You are,
And I believe it even costs, like, if you have to do an amended return, you have to pay to have all that process done. So, if you really have to do it, look at that expense too. I mean, it's gonna affect several.
I never thought about that, Tiffany, thank you for that.
Well, I'm just saying, because,
No, I know.
it does
I know.
cost to file an amended return, so
I know.
And if you're having to do, like you said, the IRS, I don't know, but Emily was maybe thinking that they could go back 10 years, and if that is the case, then you have 100 employees, and if they have to do 10 years worth, I'm just saying, if that's,
Oh, I know.
you're talking a lot of expense there that it shouldn't fall on the employees to have to do it.
It's a mess. It's a mess, and that's why I'm frustrated, because we've been trying to get a plan so that we can present a plan, but it's getting to the point, I don't know what to do. Like I said, we corrected, from here forward, we corrected. But finding out what we need to do, I'm just at a loss.
And it's just poor timing. I mean, regular budget time.
Well, anytime it'd be poor time on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, any, what we doing with the IRS.
But still, yeah,
Don't wanna go
with
back to that.
offices wanting extra stuff, and this, that, and the other.
Well, yeah, that's bad enough anyway, and then, like you say, finding the one that Sinclair, when did they find this? When did they get hit with this, or?
I think in 2005, for some reason, I want to say there was something that noted 2005. Heidi could probably give you more information, because I know she did research it and was telling me, but it's.
Well, I think, no, I know that's when it came back, 2005, but I'm saying Sinclair, when did they say, oh my gosh, we owe millions of dollars? Was that recently?
I
Okay,
think everyone
I
is
think
discovering it
everyone found out
recently.
about it.
okay. Well, it's something that unfortunately falls on this board to look into and make some decisions, and it's gonna be tough on some. It's gonna be tough on us, because we have to be the bearer of bad news, so.
Any other business? Any public comments? Yes.
Danny brought up Dirk, and I know this is probably a bad time to bring this up, but having heard all of this about money problems, but, I'd just like to point out once again how hard he works. And I noticed the other day on the budget, I had no idea he just got $18,000 a year. And I know we probably won't be able to keep him, but, it's the first time I've ever known that we've had an animal control person who also has these alliances with the, rescue operations and animal rights people, and he's just doing, I've had to deal with him recently, and he's just doing such a wonderful job. I just had to say that, and I'm amazed that we've been able to keep him for $18,000 a year. I
And
had
you-
no idea.
And you are preaching to the choir, because we know, and to tell you the truth, Dirk, he does what he does because he likes what he's doing. I can tell you that Dirk has been frustrated several times, and money for Dirk is not the issue. Dirk, just time, it's a lot of time, and as retired, he's got grandkids now, and he and I have had multiple conversations. And Dirk is staying around just because he likes what he's doing and takes pride in what he's doing. And I agree with you. I wish that we could give him more. I really do. Just like I do every employee out here, I wish we could. But we are in a very, very awkward position here as far as money. And Dirk is one of them. And just like I said the other day, Dirk, and I'll say Dana, when it comes time that you have an emergency, Dana has a lot of contacts, just like Dirk has a lot of contacts, and they do a great job. And,
With Dirk, I know Dana, when there's an emergency,
yeah, Dirk is every day.
But Dirk is 24/7.
And you are correct. And I wish I could. And here's the deal. When we're looking at he's one that's under Max and I as far as committees, and, if by any chance there is money to give Dirk, I would love to give it to him. But
I think one thing too, he's staying around Florida, he's such a good guy. He's still got the hopes like we do that we're gonna be able to build a new shelter.
yes,
And I think he's wanting that,
he's wanting to leave a legacy.
yeah, and we're hoping he stays around till he sees that.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Dirk and I were on the phone this morning and discussed that. So, but I appreciate your comments on Dirk, and of course it'll be online, but I will relay that to him, and like I do every time I talk to him. But thank you.
I have a question. Crystal was talking about the FEIN number for 911 and all the headache that it entails, of course, to acquire a new one. And she said in 2015, Darren had ceased that number. Is there an explanation as to why he ceased their number?
I don't know.
Don't have any, he just took it, there was no authority given to cease or anything like that? I'm just curious.
I'm not aware.
Okay.
And the 911 board wasn't aware of it either until recently, so.
I don't know.
Is that the same time that it happened? I mean, I don't know, but is that the same time that it happened when you changed the direct deposit to all to one number from the state and then didn't tell anybody? Okay, because that's when we didn't even know when he held our, remember the mental health checks for 3 months? That we didn't even know where our money was, and he had held it along with a lot of the highway department, or the ambulance, and didn't even know how to distribute it because he had changed that number. At that time with us, that's when it affected us at the same time.
Any other public comments? If not, I need a motion to go into executive session for collective negotiation matters.
I make a motion to go into executive session for bargaining. Collective negotiation. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.